What's good, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, and today we got a quick reaction. HBO hit us with some heat. As you guys all know, House of the Dragon just wrapped up. And actually, before I start this reaction, if you do want to see a review or reaction to the House of Dragon Season 2, definitely let me know. But that's not why we're here today. Today, we are here because HBO gave us a teaser for the upcoming season of Last of Us, which, as we all know, will be Last of Us Part 2, the live action. Let's check it out.
Did you hurt her? Then what? What did you do?
Wait a second, that was Abby.
I saved her.
Hold on, it was way quicker than I thought. Hold up. This is the cool part of being on the fun side of things for once, right? Kind of getting an idea of what's going on. You know, you always talk to people and they're like, oh, well, you didn't read the book. Oh, well, you didn't read the manga. Well, I played the game. And obviously we know, for those of you who did play the game as well, if you did not or you just don't have access to it, we did an in-depth playthrough of the game here on the channel. I will tag it somewhere in the description if you want to watch Last of Us Part 2, the game, right? For those of you who know, I love how this trailer starts because this is also how one of the first trailers that we got for Last of Us Part 2 started as well. There's a critical moment that happens at this ball, at this dance. That is a shot of Ellie. And I'll just stay with this trailer, right? We see other shots of Ellie picking up from where things left off at the end of Last of Us Part 1. Spoilers if you have not seen it. Joel lets Ellie know that she is basically of no help. She is not a cure. Her bite means nothing, which deeply sows its roots into the story of Part 2. And as we can see here, she's even gone as far as to covering up her covering up her infection or her bite with a tattoo here. And once again, I might overanalyze this, right? So another part that I notice here is in the game, the only people that Joel tells the truth to about Ellie is Tommy and his wife. So here it seems like he's talking to a therapist, which, as we know with Joel is like, as you saw in the first game and in the first season, Joel is that hardcore, stone cold man's, like, as machismo, as masculine as it gets. I'm not going to talk about my problems. I'm just going to solve them with my fists and with my gun. And here we can see that he seems like he's in therapy, which is huge for Joel because clearly there are a lot of things that he needs to talk to with how he handled Ellie, with the passing of his daughter. There's so many different layers to Joel, which is why I feel like a lot of people were disappointed with the second game. I won't get into spoilers for what happens, but I will say one thing that I liked a lot about Part 1, and the fact that Neil Druckmann, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, is very much involved with the direction of the show, is that he does not change the story. He does not change the adaptation, but he adds pieces to it. And what I really would like to see in Season 2 of Last of Us, or in this Last of Us Part 2 story, especially with an actor as amazing as Pedro Pascal, probably the best person to play Joel, I would love to see more about Joel's past. And not his past prior to the outbreak. From the moment the situation happens with his daughter up to the beginning of Part 1, there's a 20-year gap there, where at times he and Tommy talk about what happened during those 20 years. He mentions Tess, Marlene, and this is where I'm going to start a petition, or I'm going to throw this out there, and I may not be the first one to say this. We've noticed the game has been rebranded from Last of Us to Last of Us Part 1 and then Last of Us Part 2, and clearly there's going to be a Last of Us Part 3 at some point. I personally would petition for a prelude, a Last of Us Part 0, where we get to see what happened during those 20 years, from the moment of what happens to Sarah. I probably already said it. From the moment of his daughter's passing, we're just gonna go in with spoilers for season 1. From the moment of Sarah's passing up to when he meets Ellie. I would love to see what turned Joel into the stone cold killer, the person that has so much emotional depth and emotional trauma after his daughter's passing. He talks about the things that he had to do. Tommy talks about the things that they had to do. How did they meet Marlene? How did they meet Tess? And the reason I say that it can be done, well, let me not say that it can be done. The reason that I would love to see that is because I love another game as Joel, but I mentioned Neil Druckmann, right? What I could see them doing is sprinkling a bit of that into season 2, telling a little bit more of Joel's story and what happened during that time, in the same way that they told Bill's story in season 1. In the game, Bill was just some guy that Joel knew, helps him fix stuff up, and Joel goes about his way. And during the season, they completely changed and went into more depth about Bill's story and told Bill's story from a part 0 or a prelude perspective. I would love to see more of that with Joel, more of that with Tommy, and possibly that could plant the seeds for a game in the future where we're flipping things. We're seeing things in the show for the first time, and later we get a game with those actual events, which is where the Neil Druckmann connection comes in. Hopefully I articulated that well. Here we see some more shots. There's Tommy, more shots of early on in the game, which is interesting here because Tommy is in Jackson and we see the infected attacking Jackson. Here we see the our first shot of 2 major components. We got potentially the Seraphites here, and one of my favorite characters, Baby D. We got Dina here. I'm assuming that this is Dina, just because of course Dina plays a huge part in part 2. However, the casting, it's very interesting what I'm noticing with the casting. Dina seems much younger here, as well as Bella Ramsey's Ellie. They seem much younger than they are in Last of Us Part 2. In that time, in Last of Us Part 2, they're between 17 to 19 years old. I think Dina's a little bit older, maybe close to 20. Here, clearly, this is a teenage interpretation of Dina, which I'd be interested to see how that plays a role into her story, because Dina has a very, very interesting story and plays a major role in part. We got Isaac, and this is Isaac. Actually, I forget the name of this actor. I'll post it on the screen. He was the voice actor of Isaac in the game as well. So just like how Marlene's voice actress came back and played her actual role in the live action, it looks like we're getting the same for well. And even though it's not much, there is our first shot of our new, you might want to call her an antagonist, some might call her a protagonist, but I'll leave that up to you. We got our first shot of Abby there. And then the subway scene with Ellie.
I saved her.
And then the entire foundation of part 2, Joel's decision. So let me know what you guys think. Are you guys excited? How can you not be? How can you not be? Are you excited for Last of Us Part 2? Have you played the game? Do you plan on playing the game before season 2 of Last of Us? Do you think we're gonna get some more back lore for Joel? Please try to do so spoiler free for the people who are experiencing it the first time. Just remember the first time you got to play Last of Us Part 2, and how impactful that story was. Hopefully without spoilers, and even with spoilers, it still is an amazing story. But let's not spoil it for others. And one last prediction that I have is, I do believe that Last of Us Part 2, I believe personally it's going to be broken into 3 seasons. This is all speculation. I think season 1, which we've seen some of, will be circled around Joel, Ellie, the introduction of Abby. leading up to the scene in the theater where Abby makes an appearance. Once again, I'm going to try and do that without spoilers. And then season 3 will surface all around Abby's story. I think they'll tell Abby's story in season 3, leading up to that same theater point from Abby's perspective. And then I think season 4 is when we're going to get that final confrontation between Abby and Ellie. Hopefully there will be more news, because if this show is dropping once every 2 years, hopefully by then we'll have news of a Last of Us Part 3, or fingers crossed a Prelude, which is a Last of Us Part 0 with Joel. And honestly, for the Last of Us Part 0, I don't even need Joel as the main character. Give me Tommy as the main character. Let's see Joel change from the loving father of Sarah into the stone cold killer from Tommy's perspective. Woo, that would be fire. Oh my gosh. And we get to meet Eugene, and let me know your thoughts. Would you like to see a Last of Us prequel? Hey, let me know what you think. But that's another video. If you did like this reaction, or just my thoughts on this, feel free to like, subscribe, share it with a friend. Let's get the discussion going. Last of Us is back this January. I'm excited. But until the next video, you guys, peace out.